have no idea if this is loud, low, high, annoying. Anyway, welcome to Loop, everybody. Some people have been here before, and some people... Trina's here. We love Trina. Anyway, welcome to Loop, and we're so excited to have everybody here, and welcome everyone from HerMD, and all the amazing sponsors, and the food is amazing, and please stay afterwards. And everyone keeps asking me, oh my God, this place is great. What are you doing here? And I have absolutely no idea, but I love the energy in the community, and we're just gonna keep building it, and we'll figure it out later. I don't know, something with wellness, well-being, I'm not sure, but we're just gonna keep going with it. Anyway, before we start, I'm going to introduce Satya, who's going to do just a little meditation mindset to get us all into this space for gratitude for being together, and then we'll move on with the presentation.
Okay. Ooh, the lights are a little, maybe dim the lights a little bit if we could. So everybody, let's put our feet planted on the ground. There's a lot of amazing energy right now in the room, and let's try and bring it inward. I think we're all on a journey of wellness and trying to do our best, keeping ourselves as healthy as we can, as women, mothers, entrepreneurs, whatever we do. And it takes a lot of effort to do that sometimes when there's not as much time. But simple meditation, which I practice every morning, really can take you through the day, get you centered. So let's close our eyes. And let's take a deep inhale in. And exhale out. We're going to do 2 more of those. Inhale. And exhale out. And 1 more. Inhale. And exhale out. And I'd like everybody to visualize themselves right now in this beautiful space, but in the healthiest manifestation of how you want to be and how you'd like to live your life. So if we could bring your attention to the third eye point, and then visualize yourself. How do you see yourself? How much energy do you have? What do you look like? Who are you with? All the things that bring you joy. Surround yourself. We have the ability to manifest anything if we put our minds to it. And bring it down to your heart. And have that beautiful intention. It's all good. And because we're women and most of us work from our hearts, I'd like you to take both your hands and place them over your heart center. And this is just going to be a little moment of self-love. Okay? I think we all need a little extra love right now. The world's changing, we're changing. And press really hard. Right hand over the left. Press in that heart center and take a deep inhale in. Exhale out. Another deep inhale in. And press all the love and energy you can into your heart center, and asking your angels, God, the universe, to help you be all the best that you can be, and to share it with all the people you love. And with beautiful gratitude, we'll pass it over.
Thank you, Satya. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce you to Kamel, who is one of the founders of HerMD. And we're so excited tonight.
Thank you, Debbie. I want to thank Debbie for donating this space to us tonight to have this wonderful event, and for the entire Loop team who's done a fantastic job pulling this event together for us. I want to also thank you all for being here tonight. We are very passionate at HerMD about women's health care. I'm one of the founders, along with Dr. Javed, who will be speaking later today, who is also my sister, which is really great to be able to work with her. But we nearly lost our mother when our mother was 45. She's alive and well to this day, but she was 45, which I'll be 45 in a few years. I won't say how close Somi is to 45. She's close to that age too. But she, because of repeated dismissals in the healthcare system, and her pain wasn't recognized and she was ignored. And so we really founded HerMD so that no woman would be dismissed. They wouldn't be ignored. HerMD is a place where you will be seen, where you'll be heard, and you get the care that you truly deserve. And that's what we stand for. And so we're about education, advocacy, and empowerment. And so this evening is really to talk a lot about sex, about skin, about menopause, all things that should have no shame and no stigma. At HerMD, we embrace all of that, and we want to break down all of those taboos tonight. We have some fabulous women here today. I'm privileged to know all of them and call them friends. I'm so impressed with this panel. So first I want to welcome Jo LaMarca Matheson, who is local to Montclair. She's a media executive, former producer of the Today Show. So welcome, Jo. Yes. We have Devanshi Garg-Serene, who is the founder and CEO of Motif Skincare. I am going to say I use a lot of skincare products. My favorite cleanser. And we have Lisa Lundy of Complex Creatures, the founder and CEO. They specialize in breast health. And last, but certainly not least, the founder and chief medical officer. Yes, we have Dr. Somi Javed, founder and lead chief medical officer of HerMD. And so without further ado, I'm going to kick it off to you amazing ladies.
Thank you, Kamel. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Debbie, for donating. This spot is just gorgeous. I had the privilege of being here a few months ago for an event, and I was just blown away by it. I kind of want to move in, just in case you find me here one day. Anyway, I just want you to look around and think about how lucky are we. We are in a place where we can talk about menopause, and nobody gives a rip. It's not embarrassing anymore. It's not being covered and kept in the dark. We're mad, and we want answers, and we want help. And I know that I walked around forever, years, not knowing what was wrong with me, thinking I was just falling apart limb by limb and joint by joint and brain cell by brain cell. And I realized, no, I guess I'm going through menopause. But I thought it was for old ladies who walked around in house coats and fanned themselves all the time. And I was like, no, it's for young people, us young people. And so I consider myself lucky to be in this generation, to be able to talk about it and not be embarrassed and share, because there's nothing that makes you feel better, I think, than when you can share with your community what's going on inside you. So it's important. And these ladies right here are magnificent because they are making such contributions into our healthcare and our wellness. And I have to use my notes because I do have some brain fog, and I call it menopause mind. But I'd love to introduce them one by one on this menopause ride. As I call it, like the mystery bus to who knows where, because we have no idea where we're going or where we're going to end up. So you've met Dr. Somi Javed, who I got to meet through my journey. For those of you who don't know her, she's a board-certified OBGYN. She's a few credentials and accolades. She's a leading women's sexual health thought leader, a menopause advocate, and most of all, the founder and lead CMO of HerMD. And if you're not familiar with HerMD, these guys just opened their 5th location in Millburn, my new doctor's office. It's very nice. Is it Brooklinen or parachute robes? It's parachute robes, I think.
It's parachute robes.
Anyway, so they are on a mission to make women's health care accessible and exceptional through educating and empowering patients In January of 2021, Dr. Javaid was featured in Women on Top for being a trailblazer and pioneer in women's sexual health. So get those questions ready, because there's nothing she ain't heard. And next we have Devanshi next to me. Devanshi Garg Sareen, I said that right, correct. Devanshi is the definition of necessity is the mother of invention. And she, if you didn't meet her inside the marketplace, she has a skincare line called Motif, and she'll talk about that in a minute. But as an entrepreneur and pregnant at the time, she saw her skin changing and demanded more of her skincare products. And having worked in big beauty, Devanshi knew what she needed to do, so she dug into data and research and science, and she created a skin line for our changing skin, because I don't know about you guys, but my skin, I feel like, changes by the day. And the best part of, I think, of her regimen is that it's meant for busy women, so you don't have to use 16 products for 25 minutes. You can do it real quickly. So she is a definite contributor to us feeling more beautiful and better about ourselves. And then our third guest is Lisa Lundy. She's the founder and CEO of Complex Creatures. It's not about men, although they're not that complex, are they? No, no. It's a brand dedicated to making breast wellness mainstream. Lisa aims to change the conversation around breast health for all ages and life stages through products, education, and community, like this one. To me, I call her the Judy Blume of midlife, because I learned everything I needed to know.
I love that so much.
Anyway, and in case you're wondering, I'm just a journalist who was on a ride looking for some answers to menopause and decided, I met Tamsin Fidel, who you might know from WPIX, and she and I shared our stories of torture and realized, oh, now we know what's going on, and we decided to do a documentary on menopause so that women have answers, and through that documentary, I got to meet Somi and Komel.
She literally did not know me from Adam, invited me into her home, gave me a giant hug, and put a camera on me. I'm like, if this is not taking your work so passionately, she was like, yeah, just come on over. I'm like, where? Studio? She's like, my house. I'm like, okay.
And we shot her in the house. Well, you know what? You were brave enough to just show up some crazy woman's house who was going through menopause, mind you.
I went with Komel, so I knew I was okay.
Oh, yeah. She'll protect you. Anyway, so you are all founders. The three of you are founders. So, let's start with you. You live in Cincinnati. You had a practice, nice family and kids, and living a nice life. And then you decided to sort of just burn it all up and start something new.
Yeah, because a girl from the East Coast came in to an event and said, this is not normal. We have 35 states where women are represented, and we had 200 women showing up, and she's like, listen, I love my gynecologist, but I don't hang out with her after hours. Like, we're on to something. And so she gave me the push I needed off the cliff. We jumped together. They told two minority women from Ohio that we had less than a 0.5% chance of raising any type of money, that no one was going to give us the funding. No one cared about women's health care, that it was a niche. In a couple weeks, we raised $10 million. And we're able to start scaling. And then Komel and I just raised another almost 19. And so we're almost at $30 million. And what truly drove us, yes, we almost lost our mother when she was only 45 years old because of repeated dismissals, and we knew how broken our healthcare system was. And so we are on a mission to make sure that no woman is invisible, that we are heard, that we are partners in your care, and that we get this type of healthcare through insurance-based coverage so that is accessible and shrouded in education and data.
Somi, you started HerMD because of your experience working in a practice.
Yes.
Just explain to everyone what that was like for you.
Oh, yeah. So the idealist in me, I was like, after my mom nearly died, and then, she's alive to this day, I was like, I'm going to save the world. And so I went into medical school, residency, got my first job, and the realities of our healthcare system smacked me in my very idealistic face. I was seeing 50 patients a day. I was not going to be an advocate. I didn't have time to pee or eat. And so I was like, I am going to do this, and I'm do it the way that women deserve. So went with a business plan, went with my idea, because I listened to women. They wanted to talk about sex and menopause, and they were losing relationships, and they were getting misdiagnosed. I mean, we wait longer in the ER than a man for our pain medications. We're more likely to die from cardiovascular disease because we don't have penises. It's crazy. We're more likely to survive if we have a female doctor. So the realities were crazy. And so I had all this knowledge and education and went to these hospital systems, and they basically went, good luck, it'll never work. I'm like, patients need comfortable rooms, longer appointment times. We need to cover this with insurance. And went home to my husband and said, I am either going to stay home and raise these beautiful babies, or I'm going to open a practice. And he said, for good God, you will drive us all bananas if you stay home. And my father said, if you can't find an open door, build your own damn door. And so I did. And that was the first HerMD. And literally, we saw women from 35 states and 3 countries. Now, Ohio's pretty cool, guys, but it ain't LA, it ain't New York. It's not known for medical tourism. But we were bringing in women from 35 states and 3 countries. And so we were like insurance-based, data-driven, experts. Oh, that's the other problem. Less than 20% of OBGYNs in this country are trained in menopause and sexual health care. We are going to spend 40% of our lives in menopause. Less than 20% of your doctors are trained. 93% of medical residents graduate uncomfortable with menopause and sexual health care. Who is going to take care of us? And so I also started something called HerMD University, and so 100% of our providers are trained in menopause and sexual health care.
Because, and you think it's your gynecologist that you're supposed to go to, at least I did, and my gynecologist at the time said to me, oh, I don't think you're going through menopause. And I was like, oh, okay. And I thought, well, if she doesn't think so, it must be true. And I didn't realize that not every doctor, and most doctors are not educated in menopause, so it's important to find the right practitioner. Lisa, you started a business and called, go ahead.
Complex Creatures.
Yes. And you started it to what inspired you?
So my younger sister, who's here, Tara, she was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2016, and we were totally shocked. She was only 37. We had no family history. She'd never had a mammogram. Her husband actually was the one who found it at first, and going through that experience, we just made us realize how much we didn't know about our own breasts. We didn't know about risk. We didn't think to take care of them. It was really, bras and maybe breastfeeding, and that's about it. And so, through need, really, Tara wanted a product during her radiation and after surgery, and I was in perimenopause and looking for some relief from sore breasts, and we just sort of, we started talking to a lot of women, and, we weren't the only ones feeling like we could use support in that kind of way.
And so what are some of the things that you do?
For your breasts?
Yeah. How do you take care of your breasts? I just put moisturizer on and I'm done.
Which is great. Just to pay a little attention. We always say a little attention is better than none. I think there's, in thinking about prevention, we really look to experts in this space, and I think there's so many parallels in the menopause space, right? Like underfunded, under-researched. We're all about detecting and treating breast cancer, which is incredibly important. But there's not as much emphasis and research and conversation around prevention. And there's an organization called Breast Cancer Prevention Partners, and they're in California, and they have tons of research, and they really make change through legislation. And thinking about, there's like 23 different factors that go into your breast cancer risk, and genetics is such a small piece of that. Sorry, that didn't really exactly answer your question, but I wanted to just talk about that because it's really so important, all these different things. I really thought that it was mostly genetic, but it turns out it's less than 15%. Some studies say 10% of cancers, breast cancers, are genetic. So there were a lot of different things that we just had no idea about.
And just a little personal question.
Yeah.
So my boobs are supposed to get bigger with menopause. I bought an extra small bra yesterday, and it's padded. Where is my extra?
Where's your extra? Some people get extra, some people get less. It depends.
All right.
Yeah, I know. If only we could choose where we could deposit those adipocytes, fat cells, right? Wouldn't that be nice?
All right, I'll just keep waiting and praying. Devanshi,
I'll say a prayer for you.
Thank you. We must. I just saw Judy. I just saw you there, God. Yeah, it's not working at 59. Devanshi, you started your skincare line out of need. What was happening with you?
So, I grew up with like normal skin, but then in my 20s, I discovered Sephora. And I just started using a lot of skincare. And, I got sucked in. And then when I would see a blemish, I would try harder. And I would buy more skincare. And I would get a stronger peel. And next thing I know, I was at a dermatologist's office, and I realized I had rosacea. And I didn't even know, people of my skin color could get rosacea. And I just realized that our skin is our biggest organ. Its goal is to keep the good in and to keep the bad out. And in a way, it's like our boundaries. And we were compromising our skin barrier, our boundaries, with a lot of products. And at that moment, I said, okay, I was using expensive skincare, and I still wasn't seeing results. And I said, okay, if our skin is a science, it works in a scientific way, why is there so much subjectivity around our skin care results? And that's kind of just something that sat with me for a really long time. And at the time, I had such sensitive skin that I was on a diet of like CeraVe, Cetaphil, and only what the dermatologist told me to. And every time I was in the shower, I just would look at these products and feel like a patient, and feel like I didn't want to take a picture of it, and I just kept missing out on all these beautiful brands on Instagram. And I just felt like there was a dichotomy there, and that was the dichotomy that I wanted to solve, was really, can I create products that are both gentle but potent, where they're not just doing nothing, but they're giving me those potent anti-aging benefits, but also could I create skincare that, if consistency is the key to results, and so products that work and are good for me and highly efficacious, backed by independent peer-reviewed research, but also products that I reach for again and again, because then I know I'm going to use them over time to get those results.
Is there something that you learned from the science and the research that our skin really needs as we age?
So one thing overall as a society, I think our skin needs a bit less than what we're giving it. I think we're giving it too much often. We're trying to do too much to our skin. But as we age, so to answer specifically the question, we're losing collagen, we're more sensitive to hyperpigmentation. And then again, depending on like where we are in life stages, pregnancy, our estrogen is surging, and then postpartum, it crashes. We deal with edema, with dehydration, with dryness, which is very akin to a lot of postpartum symptoms, and things like travel, freezing eggs, IVF, and perimenopause and menopause. So we're dealing with so many hormonal fluctuations as well as aging skin, and so we need a lot of products that have ingredients that are backed by science in doing whatever those claims are. And I think a lot of our goals are different, but we are looking for more collagen in our skin and boosting our collagen production. We're looking for hydrating our skin, boosting our skin barriers, so we don't compromise that. And we're looking for a cure to hyperpigmentation, which we're starting to see. And also when we go through sometimes estrogen therapy during menopause, we can sometimes see that mask of pregnancy, which is just darkness in our skin. And
Also
it's a
known
stomach
as
problem.
melasma.
Exactly. So ingredients that treat that, but also ingredients that don't do that at the cost of your skin, right? And so really not compromising, because with skin there's the efficacy, irritability ratio. So again, we look at like retinol, which is great for your skin, but it's also irritating. So really finding that right balance for you so you get results and you're not yo-yoing where you go 5 steps forward and 2 steps back and 6 steps back and 3 steps forward.
So I'm going home and emptying my medicine cabinet of every single beauty product I have because it's busting and I obviously don't need all of those, right? I don't need them all, do I? No. All right. So if you are going through menopause, do not raise your hand. If you're not going through menopause, raise your hand. If you're not going through menopause, raise your hand. Okay. Somi,
Yes.
let's talk menopause.
Let's do it, but now I want to go back to the breast question, because in my defense, you asked me about your breast, and so now I have to say stuff because I feel like we didn't cover what we need to cover.
If you want to talk,
because, like,
if you
as
want
a
to talk about my
doctor,
breast, that's fine. You're the only
I
one.
want to talk about your breast, but I want to talk about breast health, particularly because there was a very poignant comment made about being diagnosed at 37. Well, that's happening because our screenings in this country aren't recommended until 40, and the major medical organizations couldn't even agree to tell you guys what to do. Do you get screening at 40? Do you get screening at 50? I don't know. It depends. If you ask the U.S. Preventative Task Force, if you ask the AMA, finally everyone has agreed that for the general population with zero risk, it's 40. But do you know that your insurance companies will cover screening mammography as young as 35? Has anyone ever been offered a MyRisk screening? Okay, 2 people. So that is the test. It is a 1-pager you can fill out at your doctor's office. It then tells you whether or not you are a candidate for genetic testing. We then take all of those factors, age, weight, family history, genetics, and we give you something called a Tyrer-Cuzick score. Does anyone know what that is? Does anyone know what the lifetime risk of developing breast cancer in this country is for the general population? 11%. Do you know that if you get a Tyrer-Cuzick score of greater than 20%, insurance will cover an MRI? Less than 5% of OBGYNs are screening you all with the modalities that we have available to us because they are like me and they are seeing 50 patients a day. It takes an extra 2 minutes to hand you this piece of paper and get this data. You should be angry because insurance will cover this for you. You need to ask for this. I want my MyRisk attestation form, and they can get it to you. And if they don't draw the test, you can go to MyRisk. It's run by Myriad. Doctors do not make any money from this test. It is a data point that we can give you so that you can decide. Gallery, anyone heard of Gallery?
No.
Do you know it's a test that's available to you that can check for 50 different cancers that we don't have screening for in this country? I get one every year. Now, unfortunately, it's not covered by insurance. Your practitioners, providers make zero money from it. HerMD is a licensed provider and can draw the tests for you. I know what y'all spend on bags and shoes. I'm guilty myself. You can use your FSA and HSA dollars. And so, ladies, so you don't get diagnosed unexpectedly, there are data points, there are tests, there are modalities available to you. You just have to find out about them. Then you have the data to take care of your breast and to make educated decisions about your health care. Sorry, Joe. I had to let people know. I mean, they have to know.
That's really good. How about the calcium test? Do you want to talk about that one?
Oh, yeah. So there's, because of my mother, this is, you're talking about the coronary calcium score, correct?
Yes, correct.
And so a lot of people are afraid about hormone therapy for multiple reasons. Doctors have messed up for a very long time, but so is the press, so and the NIH and lots of people. But there is a test that you can do that will tell you your risk of developing coronary artery disease. It takes 5 minutes. I do it every year. Insurance doesn't cover it. It's not FDA approved for this, and that's why insurance doesn't cover it, but it's $95, and it gives you another data point. So if you have high cholesterol or you have a family history of cardiovascular disease, but you're really, really worried about hormone therapy, because if we can induce and get you on hormone therapy in the first 3 to 5 years, we can actually prevent cardiovascular disease and reduce your risk. And so it's so important to have that data, particularly within the first 3 to 5 years of menopause. It is so important. $95. and you get that data point. And we use it at HerMD because then it helps us with those patients who aren't quite sure, do I want to, do I not want to, am I already past the point because of my family history, did I already develop too much plaque, and now I'm not a candidate. And that $95 test gives you that freedom, gives you that data, gives you that education so you can partner in your care.
It's why I eat chocolate every day.
Girl, I love chocolate. Chocolate and wine and cheese, but I'm not a nutritionist, obviously. So
All right.
menopause.
So-
Sorry, I got derailed.
Yeah, so let's talk about menopause. And here's the question. Here are the questions. What is menopause? Does everyone go through menopause, even though you might not have the symptoms outwardly? And not everyone goes through menopause naturally. Some people go through it surgically. So will you talk about the stages of menopause and how to recognize it and what it is?
So menopause, 2 definitions, 12 consecutive months, no bleeding, or an elevated FSH, the menopause hormone. It's when your estrogen and testosterone, you heard me correctly, plummet, so the FSH goes up. And so your doctor can either diagnose with 12 months, but my patients don't wait that long. They're like, I'm not struggling, I don't blame you. Or we can get an FSH test, like at LabCorp, Quest, we draw it in our office. So there's 2 ways to diagnose. Average age in the United States is 51, 34 symptoms head to toe, hot flashes, vaginal dryness, weight gain,
Brain
word finding, brain fog,
Joint
decreased
pain.
libido, frozen shoulder,
Hives. Anybody wanna
orgasm
chime in?
issues,
Itchy ears.
itchy ears. I mean, the guy behind the bar is like, oh my God, no. It's a party.
It's also sexy.
So perimenopause is menopause's twin, can have all the same symptoms, can start 10 years before, but the only difference between the 2 is the bleeding. There's still some bleeding going on in perimenopause. It doesn't have to be regular. You're never done with menopause. It's a permanent state. Like, it doesn't mean you're symptomatic. I say if we're lucky and we live long enough, yes, we will go through menopause. My patients are thriving. They're having sex. They don't have brain fog. They're not worried about pregnancy. I mean, they're at the best of their lives and their careers. I am a thriving 48-year-old woman who's not going anywhere yet. I don't want to be the 900,000 women that leave the workforce because of, undiagnosed, untreated, menopause. And so postmenopausal and menopausal, that's where people get confused. The only reason we talk about postmenopausal in medicine is because we want to talk about the bleeding. So perimenopausal bleeding, less concerning to us. Postmenopausal bleeding, we want to make sure there's no cancer, polyp, fibroid, something else that's going on. So postmenopause doesn't mean like you're done, you're not going to have symptoms. There are studies that show you can be symptomatic for 20 years plus if left untreated. There are women that have 0 symptoms. My mother doesn't understand how I build a whole business on menopause and sexual health care. I mean, she paid her dues with the cardiovascular stuff, but no nothing. She's like, I just stopped my periods one day. That's what she said. And I was like, okay, that was her menopause story. But no, so not everyone's symptomatic. We know that there are differences in ethnicities. So minority women like myself can have much more severe vasomotor symptoms. And the other thing that I want to tell you guys, the reason it's way beyond a hot flash is that it can wreck marriages. I've seen people lose their marriages, their jobs, and really their homes. But it can also be a predictor of more severe disease. Did you know that it is a sign for us, those of you who have more severe vasomotor symptoms, you may have increased risk of cardiovascular disease. So don't let those doctors blow off those symptoms because we may be delaying a diagnosis that could be life-threatening.
What are some of the symptoms we don't see? Our hormones start to diminish.
Yes.
And what happens inside our bodies?
We lose a lot of bone density the first 3 to 5 years after menopause, so that's invisible. So start your strength training, start your weight-bearing exercises, take care of your body. We do not see the cardiovascular disease. And so what happens is we think that estrogen, so think about your arteries like a tube or like plumbing. Estrogen lays down a protective lining because we all have cholesterol. A little bit of cholesterol is good for us. It helps our brain. We need it. So when we're not menopausal, we have this estrogen that lays down and prevents plaque from building up. When we lose that, the plaque starts to build up with the cholesterol. And so that's why we start to see a climb in cardiovascular risk after we go through menopause. What we saw in the WHI study and why we saw all those heart attacks and strokes is estrogen is embolic. That means it can cause things to break off, but it doesn't cause the plaque. But if you put women on hormones 29 years, thank you NIH, after they go through menopause, of course they're going to get cardiovascular disease. You studied the wrong damn population.
Speaking of which,
Oh, Lord. Yes?
is everyone familiar with the study of 2002, when 16 million women out of the 18 million flushed their hormones down the drain because we were told hormones cause cancer
And dementia.
and dementia
And cardiovascular disease.
and heart disease?
And stroke. Yeah, so everyone threw out their prescriptions. Doctors stopped going to conferences. They stopped prescribing. And literally, the world of menopause care stopped. Yes. So there are so many things that I need to know, but I will tell you, do we have cancer patients who are on hormone therapy? And yes. And is it supported by oncology and data? Yes. Every type of cancer? No. It depends on family history, what type of cancer stage, what was your medication. Yeah, so yes, there are people that have had a total mastectomy, had everything removed as far as their fallopian tubes, ovaries, uterus, yes. So it is not impossible, and there are doctors that will put you on hormone therapy, and it is supported by the oncologist and by data. So that's what I have to be very careful, right? Because I'm a public figure that talks about, yes, as a physician, right. So I cannot say blanket every single cancer patient. Yes, but no, absolutely. Do we have cancer patients on hormone therapy? Is it supported by data and the oncologist? Absolutely. I would say it's individualized, curated care, and you have to have physicians who are willing to speak to each other and coordinate your care. Because I would never do it without the oncologist, and the oncologist would not do it without me. And there are a lot of other doctors who feel the same way, and there's a lot of emerging data to support the use of hormone therapy in certain patient populations.
So let's get to that. What are some of the things? We know there's HRT. Yes. There's a lot of confusion around HRT. What are some of the things that, what is your stance on HRT, and what are some of the treatments that women can do if they don't want to use HRT?
Yeah, so remember, it also depends on your symptoms. So for the dryness that people were talking about, for the cognition, for bone, for cardiovascular health, it's estrogen. So the gold standard is hormone therapy. There is nothing yet better than that. Now, I understand that some people still don't want to do it, that they're scared, or they're just not candidates. And so if you have liver disease, for example, and it's uncontrolled, we cannot put you on hormone therapy. I am a major supporter of hormone therapy because of all of the benefits, both with cardiovascular, with bone, with brain, and then just lifestyle and how much better people feel. The other thing you guys need to realize, this is the cups of coffee thing, our estrogen levels before menopause are up to 500. After menopause, they drop down to less than 20. When we put you on therapy, the max level we will get you at is 100. So greater than 20, less than 100. So your body was used to 6 cups of coffee, caffeine. You went down to 0. We're going to get you back on 2. We don't need to get you back up there again, but that's all menopause is estrogen withdrawal. And what people are like, well, why don't you want to get me back up there? Well, more estrogen doesn't mean you're going to feel even better. But 20 to 100 will protect bone, brain, heart. get you sleeping again, get you clear-minded again. And then testosterone is the gold standard for all of the domains of your sexuality. So I love talking about sex, only because there's only 2 options for women that are FDA approved and 26 for men. And Viagra
Are we
was-
doing sex now?
Huh?
Are we doing sex now?
No, but I mean, okay, well, that's part of menopause.
Because
but I'll
we'd
stay
love
on
to talk
menopause. I'll
sex.
stay on menopause. Sorry. So there is systemic hormone therapy, okay, which it gets into your bloodstream, and then there's localized estrogen. And so localized estrogen is meant for like GSM. So for dryness, incontinence, recurrent vaginal infections, you get dry everywhere. So localized estrogen does not get into your bloodstream at nearly the same levels as systemic estrogen. But the package insert, thanks to the FDA, is no different. So I will tell you you're fine, it's okay. You'll go home and you'll read it and be like, she's crazy. Like it's going to give me dementia, stroke, heart attack. It's not true. We're working with the FDA. There's initiatives happening so that we can change that labeling. There are also other things that you can do. There are 2 FDA-approved medications that are non-hormonal. Veoza, Brazil for hot flashes. There are moisturizers, there are lubricants, there are vibrators. Sorry, I'm going back to sex again.
Oh, that's okay.
But,
I
you
think
know-
we all want to talk about sex.
But
It's part of the.
there's a lot of supplements too that I love. Bonafide is a great company that makes a lot of great menopause products that are non-hormonal. So there are a lot of direct-to-consumer brands that will help with hot flashes. There are cooling sheets. I just bought a mattress topper that cools and heats me now. And listen, sleep's important. For sleep, cognitive behavioral therapy, gold standard. That's what you need to do so that you're sleeping again. Hormones will help you sleep. Progesterone, which is the balancing act to estrogen if you have a uterus, will get you great sleep. And that's what it's there for, to balance out the estrogen. So you have so many options for menopause beyond hormones that are great, evidence-based, and a lot of them are covered by insurance.
Are you ever too past menopause to go on HRT?
The party line now is no. It used to be there was a hard line drawn at 60 and then 65, and now we're saying it's all about patient choice. I will say, when a woman comes in her 8th decade of life, I'm not chasing her down with hormones. Yes, because ideally that hormone window, that hypothesis, is within the first 10 years of menopause. That is when we are going to get the most benefit and the least amount of risk.
So when we sat down for our documentary, we sat down with Dr. Sharon Malone, who is Michelle Obama's doctor. And we said, how long do you plan on being on HRT? And she said, forever. Where do you stand on that?
I mean, I take it year by year with my patients. Sometimes it's a really fun tug of war because I'm like, can we cut back the dose? It's just an honest conversation. And sometimes what happens is there's another medical problem that develops, uncontrolled hypertension, something happens, and we have to part ways with the hormone, but then we can do something else. So every year for me, it's not a hard and fast rule for me. I have to take what the patient wants, what her health history is. And to be honest with you, I have some 80-year-olds who are healthier than my 25-year-olds.
Devanshi, when you were putting together your skincare line, did you look into how hormones affect the skin and what you needed to do differently?
Yeah,
Natural hormones, I'm talking about.
No, for sure. I mean, look, we as women are blessed with a roller coaster of hormones, right? So we are I just recently got my hormone looked up, and I have very, very high estrogen and very high progesterone and testosterone. And so I can see how that's, affecting me in many ways. But we're going to have so many fluctuations over the courses of our lives that I wanted to create a skincare line that takes us to a state of balance when our bodies are not quite in balance. And you talked about having different skin type in one day, right? And that I think is a truth. And we're all trying to put people in a bucket of I have dry skin or I have oily skin. But the truth is, when your skin is not balanced, you could go through 4 seasons in one day. And so
Or in 1 minute.
for a minute.
I'm cold, I'm hot, I'm cold, I'm hot.
No, for sure. And so, you know, if we really think about what the common goal is, and the goal is healthy skin, and that healthy skin is going to be radiant and dewy and soft and plump. And so we really try to pick ingredients that took people to that common state of homeostasis versus trying to over-treat any one symptom. So, you know, sometimes when people have oily skin, they tend to use all these like cleansers that really strip them, and then the body, which is so inherently intelligent, is trying to overcorrect, and the next thing you know is you're in this vicious oily skin cycle. But it doesn't also mean that it's like moisturized and soft, right? It's just, you know, you're fighting with your body. And so we try to find ingredients that were moisturizing for oily skin while reducing sebum production. Same thing with dry skin. You know, if we just like over moisturize and we have these like, you know,
Vaseline.
occlusives, exactly. So, you know, again, you're giving your skin, you know, your body is just trying to adapt to everything that you're throwing at it. And so really for us, it was, you know, so when we created our first product, which is a cleanser, everyone asked us, well, is it for dry skin? Is it for oily skin? And really, it's for skin to go to its path of healthy. And so I really feel that in these like fluctuations of hormones, if we can help the skin stay balanced at best as it can through these ingredients that, again, take us to the center.
Yeah.
Equilibrium.
Lisa, how about you? When you created Complex Creatures, did you have to come up with products for different ages, or are all breasts created equal?
I don't think we really thought about it. We don't have them for different ages per se. We do think about breasts and this new category. We're really thinking about it from puberty to menopause and everything in between. So ultimately, we will have products that are, you know, sort of for each stage. The products that we have now were really born out of needs for each of us, and then other women that we talk to, particularly in the breast cancer community. And that's really how we started making those products, the balm, and then the oil. If that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So less about age.
Less about age and just more about.
And for me, yeah, I think the oil was really helpful. It's been really helpful going through Peri, and now almost, I keep saying I'm rounding home. I'm like in the 30-day countdown. So, yeah.
Well, we're here for you when you get to the end. We're here for you. All right, let's talk about sex, because we all want to talk about sex, right? Yes, Comel is shaking her head, and she's only a baby, so I don't even understand why. But I know I went from like, I'm an open door at any hour, any day, any time, to go away. Just go away. How does that happen? I was sitting in their office. I was sitting at HerMD, and they give you a test to take about your sex life on an iPad, all very cute. You feel like you're in a pediatrician's office. And I'm taking this test. How often? How often do you feel like it? How often are you satisfied? I'm like, never, 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 never. And I look up, and I look at the girls behind, the sweet 20-somethings behind the counter, and I said to them, do you guys ever just want to rip someone's clothes off and have them like right now, right there, right now? And they were like, why? And I said, because if you do, appreciate it, because it just goes away. I don't care. You could love someone to death. You could be attracted to someone, but it just goes away. That feeling goes away. I watch movies and I think, I used to be her. Where did she go? And do I need to take testosterone pellets to get it back? Where did she go? Why does that happen?
First of all, you're banned from the HerMD lobby.
They're so sweet, those girls.
And
I'm
so
so
young,
jealous.
and now they're so scared. The test we give you is a validated score so that we can measure your sexuality. It's called an FSFI, Female Sexual Function Index, and it checks for all the domains of sexuality that we can actually treat. Libido, orgasm, arousal, pain, satisfaction. We talk about satisfaction, and then lubrication. So all the ways that we can help you. There are FDA-approved medications, so a lot of what happens in sexuality is because of the drop in testosterone. So we know that testosterone can help you with all the domains of sexuality. We do not have an FDA-approved testosterone-only treatment product in the United States for women. We have 26 options for men. You heard me, 0 in this country for women. Why aren't you all pissed? Because you have no testosterone. So, okay, so anyways.
Wait, can we take men's testosterone? Can we sneak our men's testosterone?
You need to take your husband's testosterone. Actually, both NAMS and there's a global consensus statement with a lot of major medical organizations that testosterone is proven safe and effective, doesn't increase your risk of breast cancer, and does not increase your cholesterol. So the way that we give it to people is we either compound a cream. Yes, you can use your husband's dosing. It is actually recommended. I don't like it for 2 reasons. It's the most expensive way to get testosterone, and it's really, really hard to titrate it, right? Because we need about a tenth of what they need. And so to be like, put a half spray in one nostril every other day, people are like, what? So we can either compound a cream, we can put a pellet, which looks like a little Tic Tac, underneath your skin, and it lasts for 4 months, and that can give you testosterone. Now, that is not the only treatment option. There are 2 FDA-approved medications for women that help with sex drive. Does anyone know what they are?
I thought you were going to ask, does anybody remember sex drive? Or is everyone
No.
happy with like, just stay away, I'm good?
All right, how many of you guys know what Viagra is? Oh, why? So you guys don't know the female, you do know the pink pill? Yes, Addie is the first ever female sexual health drug, FDA approved in 2015, covered by insurance. Passed 3 things when it, or does 3 things to you. Increases the number of sexually satisfying events. That means it is not checking a box sex. I love you, I don't want to, but I will. It's another, thing to do. It's satisfying. It increases your sex drive, and it decreases the distress associated by, where did she go? Like, you'll get it back. So that takes 6 to 8 weeks to work. It's called the pink pill because it's pink. You take it every night. Actually causes weight loss, not weight gain. Helps you sleep. My patients call it the happy, horny, skinny pill.
Somi is handing out prescriptions as you leave tonight.
Yes.
There's one
I'm
in your
like,
goodie bag.
Scan the QR code. I'll come take care of you for the next 6 months. The second drug that is FDA approved is called Vyleesi. It is an on-demand. It is an on-demand. So that is truly the female Viagra. You inject yourself, I know it's a shot, 45 minutes before you want to have sex. So this is for my patient who comes in and says, oh my God, I've been waiting like 6 months to see you. I have a trip booked to Hawaii and I don't want to have sex and I need something. And I go, okay, well, here's the shot. Have a great weekend. Come and talk to me afterwards. So there's testosterone, there's Addie, there's Vyleesi. There are other medications we can use off-label. There are apps. So do you know that there is a digital therapeutic called Rosie where you can read naughty stories, and they can be the level of spiciness that you want. Evidence-based, founded by a doctor. It's called Rosie. There is audio erotica, also evidence-based. It's called Dipsy. Vibrators, first time ever we had a study. Helps you, I love the giggles. But we're studying vibrators as doctors and proving that it helps with your pelvic floor. Why is your pelvic floor important? Nobody wants to pee or poop or fart when you don't want to, and you want to have those fabulous orgasms like when Harry met Sally. If your pelvic floor is weak, your orgasm is going to be like this.
Wait.
Yes.
So if you're not having, this might make me want to have sex again. If you're not having sex, you're going to start farting and pooping and all, and like.
Sex and vibrators support a healthy pelvic floor. So you can pick. You can
So
have
the
sex
answer is yes.
or use your vibrator. Your husband's going to love me. So lubricants, moisturizers, vibrators, digital therapeutics, medications, testosterone. There are so many people that say to me, well, my doctor said drink some more wine and you'll be fine, or use it, or drink some more wine. I guess that's, I like wine, but it doesn't help you with your sex life.
And what about use it or lose it?
So,
because the brain thing and,
Yeah, so here's the deal. There are 2 things. I love that. So yes, the less we have sex, the less we want to have sex. The more we have sex, the more we're reminded to have sex. So yes, but I don't like saying use it or lose it. Plus, the more you have sex, the more blood flow and lubrication and the healthier your vagina will be. When you don't use it, it loses collagen and elastin and blood flow and gets drier. And so then sex begins to hurt. And when sex hurts, you lose your sex drive, because who wants to do anything that doesn't feel good?
Oh my God, so that happened to me? I thought I was allergic to my husband. I was having sex with him. Well, we were trying once. Oh my God, he probably would kill me for this. But it's such good information to know, because I walked around clueless for like a year and a half. And we were trying to have sex, or he was, and I was like, you are so painful to me. I couldn't understand why. And I didn't realize it was a menopausal symptom. I thought it was an allergy, because you know how they say you get allergies as you age? So I thought it was an allergy. And
To penis or to semen?
well, to his, yes, to that. Number 2. All right, now I'm having a hot flash. But I didn't know it was a thing. So talk about the remedies for painful sex. And everyone can use those remedies, correct?
So obviously, for everybody, moisturizers and lubricants are amazing, and they're not just for menopausal patients. And let's talk about sexual pain for just a second. You can have sexual pain on the outside, or the introitus, or the opening, or the vulva, right? The outside's the vulva. You can have pain in the vaginal canal.
We need a diagram.
I know, right? Come on, next time. Next time. Or internally, like deep pain. And that's when we start to worry about fibroids, scar tissue, endometriosis, that kind of stuff. So what was happening with you and a lot of patients is externally, our vestibule, so the opening of a church or a building or your vagina, is very dependent on that estrogen and testosterone. And so when we lose those hormones, it becomes very thin, and it hurts, and it burns. And so penetration can become very, very painful. And then our brain goes, this hurts. And that pelvic floor that I talked about that's so beautiful, it contracts, and it actually stops penetration, because your body's like, no, this is not good for us. Vaginal pain happens because our vaginas are built like an accordion, and they stretch and accommodate our partner, and they have collagen, elastin, blood flow. They're pink, and they're plump, and they're beautiful. And then we go through menopause, and they start to become very thin. And I'm a mom who does laundry too. They get like a tube sock, and so you can't stretch and it doesn't stretch, and it burns and it hurts. And so moisturizers, lubricants, but the only thing that can change that anatomy is actually localized estrogen. And when you look at before and after pictures, it's amazing. And if you can't do even localized hormone, I just presented a huge data paper that I'm so proud of at Menopause Society, talking about radiofrequency and microneedling in your vagina. We numb you. Yeah, but it works. 90 to 95% success rate. Hormone therapy, 75. We just blew people away. We just shared our data with thousands of other physicians. That's the work we're doing at HerMD. Now, it's not covered by insurance yet, but my goal is, with data, we'll smash the status quo, and eventually we'll get these treatments covered. But those are optionalities for women who don't want hormones. There's so much that you can do so that you don't have sexual pain.
I have to tell you, whatever that cream is, it works. It's amazing, because I thought I was never going back, and that cream is incredible. What's the cream?
Oh, externally?
Estradiol?
Estrogen and testosterone.
Yes.
You have to have both. Yeah, the ET combo. Yeah.
Yes.
No, I once had a patient who went to 9 different physicians. They cut out part of her anatomy. They were injecting her. They put her in pelvic floor physical therapy, also amazing. Sexual health counselors, amazing. And I literally put her on that cream, and 6 weeks later, I go, how's it going? She said one word to me. She's like, new nurse. I'm like, high five. Yeah, like they were having sex again.
Can you explain pelvic floor physical therapy? Yeah. Like you go to a physical therapist, and what do they do?
They teach you. Sometimes it depends. So too much tone, not good, right? Because you can't have an exam, a penis can't go in, or a vibrator, or you can't insert a tampon. Too little tone, and you don't feel anything, it's not pleasurable for you or your partner, or you're having problems with incontinence, or, and so you need to have the perfect amount of tone to be able to hold things in or let things in, right? It's a balance. And so just like you exercise any other muscle, there are pelvic floor physical therapists that will help restore you back to, I hate the word normal, but typical tone, so that you are able to have activities of daily living.
Oh my God,
very,
I'm going
very
home
important.
and having sex tonight. Everyone go home and have sex tonight, because we don't want to fart and poop and do all of those things. Because sometimes I listen to my mother walk around the house, and I'm like, Ma, you know what you just did? So I think she's not having sex.
And, going back to the breast health and the breast cancer question, ASCO, which is the American Society of Clinical Oncology, has actually recommended after cancer treatment. They actually named Addie by name, talked about pelvic floor physical therapy, talk about menopause, talk about getting in with your counselor, talk about getting your partner involved if you want. All these things are supposed to be addressed. 9 out of every 10 female cancer patients are symptomatic. 1 out of every 10 is even asked about her sexuality.
And it's safe for cancer patients.
Yes, and actually recommended by the oncologists.
Devanshi, do you have any feeling now for getting into the intimacy game? To create products?
No, not yet. But it's the same skin. Microneedling works great in collagen production on the face, and so, yeah, of course it would work down there.
If you can
Makes
increase
sense.
collagen, we'll all be happier.
Everywhere.
Yeah,
Everywhere.
We'd all be happy everywhere.
Let's do it together.
Let's do it.
Lisa, what have you learned from your consumers? And we're talking about survivorship now. We're talking about, the creams being okay for patients who are survivors. What have you learned from your consumers about survivorship care and how survivorship has impacted their sexual health?
So it's definitely a big thing for so many people who have been through cancer. And if you're in here, and Tara could probably even speak to it better, having been through it. But it's so important to, especially if you've had mastectomy, right? There's the medical menopause where they're having all the same symptoms if you had gone through it naturally. I think what we hear so much too specifically about breasts and having surgery, and we even know this just recently, we hear about so many women having cancer, and a friend of ours just had her double mastectomy yesterday, and she's like, it's my favorite part of my body. She's like, I love my breasts, and it's heartbreaking when we hear it's like your favorite part of your body. You're so identified, your sexuality and who you are, and you love them, and have to go through that. And then what do you do after knowing all the options you have for surgery? I don't know if anyone knows, there's deep flap surgery where you use skin from the rest of your body. You will probably explain that better than I can. But there was just a whole issue where they had changed the codes, the billing codes. So there was a campaign to change it because women wouldn't be able to be covered to do that. But I think one of the things is women don't know what all their options are, post-treatment. And so, so let's say you do have it using our products. The balm really helps with scars, softening that. Once you go through radiation, your skin, that tightness never really goes away. I heard someone just say that, it goes away, and then the oil really helping just connect with your body, keeping the tissue soft and supple, and women going through so many revisions. We just hear so often about multiple surgeries to get it right, right? I mean, it's a really big thing, and then not wanting to be touched, or not having sensation or feeling, or then being cold. There's another boob founder friend has a company called Brilliantly Warm, and amazing, right? So all these things we don't know or don't talk about, it just when you're healthy, let alone then after you've had this, life-threatening, process and come out the other side and you can't feel your breast or you're freezing cold all the time. So, yeah, it's something that we, it definitely impacts women.
What's the one thing you'd like everyone to take home tonight? What bit of information?
I think, probably if nothing else, to really just pay attention to your breasts, know your body, know you're normal, advocate for yourself, ask all this information. So many doctors, as Somi just said, don't tell us about what's available to us, and even as a high risk, first degree relative. I'm high risk. We're not BRCA. But the gynecologist, she like wouldn't even talk to me. She was like, no, you can't. So I'm booking my appointment with you because I'm honestly more afraid of, dementia, bone density, heart health. Obviously, I don't want to get breast cancer, but, wanting to just at least have all the information and really understand and think about, I think just raising awareness. What are the products you're using? What are the chemicals you're putting on your body? There are so many factors that we do have control over. And that's not to say that, you can be healthy and doing all the right things and you could still get breast cancer, but there really are so much from what you eat and drink and put on your body and exercise. And then also advocating for, as a consumer, right? I think in the US, the onus is really it's on the consumer to prove that a product is unsafe. In the EU, it's different. I think in clean beauty, we're becoming more aware of that. But bras that you wear have chemicals in them, the fabric and your underwear, whole Lululemon thing, leggings. So there really are toxins like everywhere, and breasts in particular are more susceptible to toxins. They're high fat content, and because they're always changing, and they are more susceptible. There's really great data through Breast Cancer Prevention Partners about at the different phases, like when you go through, the breast changes a lot when you go through puberty and then through a pregnancy and then again at menopause. And that's really, you become more susceptible to toxins and change then. So, there really is so much that we can do, and I think most people really don't know about it, and we don't talk about it, and I feel like, we've sort of had this change now with menopause, and we're in this moment where everyone's talking about menopause, and we're talking about sexual wellness and period health, and still breasts,
We talk about it in October.
We talk about it in October,
Right.
but really we should be talking about them every day. And even, I'm just sharing, like, even within this health space and this, women's health revolution that we're in, there's still like a disconnect and still something we don't want to talk about our breasts. We don't want to touch our breasts. There's so much shame in different cultures. We don't even know, because no one says we're supposed to do it. I always say, like, we didn't drink water in the 80s, and now everybody's walking around with the water. So, just because we didn't do something before doesn't mean that we shouldn't, think a little bit differently about how to care for ourselves, because the risk continues to increase, incidence increasing, and in younger women. And I don't know, you would probably speak better to the data, but, or not to the data, but just the even with colon cancer and all these different cancers happening younger and younger, and breast cancer is, women are really being impacted by that.
Too much stress, too much tobacco, too much alcohol, not enough movement. But please don't put your cell phones here. Like, I've seen so many women do that.
Oh yeah, don't do that.
Like, tuck it into your sports bra. We're actually seeing increases in testicular cancer in men from sticking their cell phones here. But women, young women, we're seeing it laterally here and here. And what we're seeing it from is cell phones tucked under the sports bra, and they don't think about it, and they have that cell phone all day long. So if you love someone, tell them don't put their cell phone under their sports bra.
Or in their pocket.
Or their pocket, yeah.
We're all going to go home and yell at our sons and our husbands tonight. Don't put it there.
No.
Devanshi, what do you want everyone to take home?
During this panel, I've just been having this thought. I grew up, all around the world, but a lot in India, where a lot of conversations were taboo. And I'm here in America, and those conversations are taboo. And even things, and what I realized, that it's not even the subject matter. It's actually what women want. Like, there's a sense of, like, a friend of mine, also a cancer survivor, she said she went to the doctor, a female doctor, and she said she wanted to talk about her hair loss. It was something that was bothering her. And the doctor hushed her and said, okay, let's talk about the more important things. And kudos to her, she brought the power back to herself and said, no, but it's important to me and I want to talk about it. And I think there's just this air, and women, we do it to each other as well, but just creating space like this to have more conversation, because that's going to trigger people to walk out of any kind of shame around any kind of conversation. But it's not about the subject matter It's about just what we want and what we demand and what we deserve, and being able to put that out there in the universe, and to do that without, anyone's permission, I think is, and I'm glad for organizations like this and spaces like this that are making that happen, because it's long overdue.
Okay, so sexual health is healthcare. And my goal is for you all to have no difference in talking to your doctor about your vagina than you do an earache or a headache. It's a body part. To eradicate all stigma, taboo, and shame when it comes to your total health, which includes sexual health.
And something we didn't talk about today, but also plays big in this, is mental health. And there are a lot of women that I talk to who are having a really hard time. And we spoke with one woman at the opening of HerMD, and she was laughing and she was joking about menopause, and then all of a sudden she just broke down and she said, I don't know who I am anymore. And I heard my husband say to my son, this is not our fault. This is something your mom's going through, and she'll get through this. There's nothing we can do about it but support her. And she overheard that conversation, and she said, I was always the rock. I was the one who brought the sense of humor to the family. And now I'm the one who's falling apart, and I don't know who I am. I spoke with a woman in London who was from Pakistan. She said, we don't talk about these things in my family. I was having a conversation with my husband, and we were on a Zoom. She said, I was having a conversation with my husband, and we play this game. Like, if you wish you were anywhere right now, where would you want to be? And she said, the first thing I thought of was dead. And she was crying, and I was crying, because we know that feeling of when we feel totally lost, or we don't recognize ourselves, or our bodies aren't functioning the way we wanted them to, or the way we're used to them functioning. And our brains aren't functioning. I was a morning show producer for almost my whole life. But at the end, I felt like I could not give that show what it deserved, because I couldn't sleep at night. And I couldn't remember people's names. So I was up there working with a staff who I'd known for almost my whole life. And I'd say, oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. Who is that? I see them every day. It's Angela. How do I not know that? And I would forget segments that we did, and I would forget facts, and because I didn't care, and I have no shame, basically, as you can see from tonight, I would say to the staff, if I ask you something 15 times, or I tell you something 15 times, it's because I'm going through menopause. It's not because I'm trying to be a pain in the neck. And so I think the mental part is really important too. I know there's someone here tonight, raise your hand, and she works with patients who need help in that area. So if I can direct people to you, if anyone feels that they need help, but just know you are not alone. None of us are alone. Every journey is a little bit different, but we're in this together, and we're so lucky that we have you guys making a change in this world and coming up and doing something that enlightens us and educates us and makes us go, okay, it's okay. I can do this. I'm going to get through this. Because 100 years ago, people would go through menopause and then die at 61. Women died at 61. No one cared. Who cared? I'm going to die in a few years anyway. Now we have another 40 years to live, or 50 years to live. And we have second chapters. And so it's important that we live them to the fullest. So I want to thank you guys. And I think we're going to take some questions. So does anybody have any questions? Do we have time for questions?
Joe, real quick, anxiety and depression, yes, very, very